Welcome to Cooking with Dylan on the Right in Front YouTube channel. What, do you think Mullet Mad Jack was a video game? Mullet Mad Jack. Flapjacks. It's pancakes. We're making pancakes here today. So let's stop wasting time and let's get cooking. Alright, first up we need to add the ultra kill, represented by this egg. Next we need to add some roguelike elements, represented by this teaspoon of sugar. Now let me throw in just a dash of speedrunning. And last but certainly not least, we need to add the retro 90s anime aesthetic with this copy of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Alright, now that all the ingredients are in, we just need to mix it all together. Now all you have to do is grease up the iron and throw it on there. Now that it's been 3 or 4 years, the recipe should finally be done and ready to serve. This has been Cooking with Dylan. Wait, it's actually a game? Whoa. Mullet Mad Jack is a game, developed by Hammer 95 Studios and published by Epopia Games. This is their first game and it's quite unique with an ambitious style. That, of course, is what drew me to the game in the first place. Now, I don't watch a lot of anime, as in I don't watch any anime. Being from the Midwest, doing that was practically a one-way ticket to being made fun of in high school. Although, now I couldn't give less of a shit what people think about me, so trying new things is on the docket nowadays, and I'm just enamored with this game's style. It clearly had one look in mind, and I can tell that it nails it even with my inexperience with it. There's much more to it than just its style. It's also got a dollop of substance through its interesting story and its mixture of FPS and roguelike elements. Let's go through the story first. This game takes place in the year 2095 in an ultra-futuristic capitalist world where money and influence is king. That's only 81 years away at the time of this video. At the rate that we're heading, we might reach this sort of world way sooner than that. Well, just know that as long as I make videos, they'll be made with these two hands, and a computer, and a script, and a microphone, and an editing software. And is this joke getting old yet? This balance of power will be consistently rubbed in your face in the least subtle way possible. In this hellscape, robot billionaires run the place. Think Terminator or RoboCop. Or don't. I haven't exactly watched those movies to accurately convey what they're about. So make sure to tell me if I'm wrong in the comments below. Needless to say, we better watch out. One day you're pushing over a robot, and the next they'll be pushing over you. Humans in this new world are addicted to dopamine, so it really is just real life. Although we don't die in 10 seconds without it, one such billionaire manages to capture a princess. She's not really a princess, however, just a really powerful person with tons and tons of followers. To combat this, exists the Beast Corps that hires Jack to become a moderator in charge of saving her. She is taken to a building owned by said billionaire, and this building is full of dangerous robots. So what does Jack get in return? Why, a new pair of sneakers, of course. I don't know if I would have taken the job personally, although those sneakers do look pretty fly. While you fight your way up the tower that she was taken to, you were hounded by the streamer. Now you know why Jack's job title is called moderator. This lady never seems to shut up. Thankfully, if you get annoyed by her presence, you can just mute her. No harm, no foul. She serves as your mission control, if you will, although she doesn't really do anything herself, just spouting quirky catchphrases that definitely didn't start to grate on my nerves after a while. The Peace Corps' true purpose isn't shown until the last bit of the game, but you learn that they are live streaming your runs to people around the world so they can get their dopamine fixes as well. They'll do anything to accomplish that goal, even going as far as bringing you back from the dead when... that doesn't look very good. You even get to see the nice chat in-game. Hammer 95 even went as far as to let you put your own Twitch chat into the game. I don't stream, so I have no fucking clue how this works, but that's pretty dystopian, and also very cool. The princess was kidnapped by Mr. Bullet, a literal bullet robot that is just a big asshole. He taunts you constantly throughout the game, and preaches about his ideologies so much that you just want to shove a foot up his ass. He does a very good job of being a dick that you want to fucking hate. Constantly being on billboards throughout making fun of you and threatening the princess's life. Oh no, He's more memorable than a lot of other villains in games I have played recently. He wants the princess to use her virgin blood to summon some sort of deity. He doesn't say why until the final fight, where it turns out that he didn't actually want to summon anything. That would mean that there would be no gods, and that robots were the real top of the food chain. And after shooting through 81 floors, you finally have your showdown with Bullet in his Gundam. He dies 2 times before finally being put to rest for good, after one last massive car chase.
Moderator?
Jack and the influencer princess drive off into the sunset, and we learn that the ritual didn't work, not because there aren't any gods, but because she isn't a virgin. Who could have guessed that? Then they both live happily ever after. Or so we think. Did you forget that we have to go pick up our new Jordans? We worked hard to get those kicks, and we're not going to let them fall from our grasp, so we head to Peace Corps HQ to get our prize. And after more robotic slaughtering and the introduction to the endless game mode, we make it to the prize department where the shoes are, and after 5 hours of playing the game, we finally figure out what's really going on here. You learn the true purpose behind the Peace Corps, which is, well, I don't think I can explain it any better than the game does. So yeah, play the clip.
We make you work 8 hours a day to make you distracted, to make you desperate. Desperate to find any sense of meaning. Like a robot, we programmed you to seek that meaning in some stupid shoes. You leave your car, that girl, and everything else just for a promise of meaning.
So yet again, this is just real life. That isn't even all of it. This goes on for like 10 more minutes. A diatribe if you could ever have one. That's the true win to Mad Mullet Jack, unless you want to go back and find even more shoes, hiding in different difficulties. I always dig a stick it to the man kind of story, and this was about as stick it to the man as it gets, even if its ending was depressing to say the least. I can never tell with certain games whether or not this ending is supposed to instill some sort of fear in us to avoid this sort of society or not. Or did the creator just want to make a story with ultra consumerism as a sort of backdrop for what the characters go through, as in this is just the world that these characters live in, and that's not supposed to be the main focus. Some games it's completely obvious what the creator's intention is, but here, I'm going to guess it's the former. It is so in your face about every aspect of it that if you were looking for something philosophical in a I have to analyze every single aspect to get any sort of understanding sort of way, then you won't find that here. It revels in its unsubtlety, and that's why I enjoy it as much as I do. And if you don't give a shit about the story, it stays unintrusive, so it can mostly be ignored if all you care about is getting that hit of dopamine, which this game is just real life. On to the gameplay. Did you get any of that? Well, if you don't feel too bad, as I was in the same boat for the first hour or so. As much as I praise the graphics and style, it is at the cost of being able to tell what the fuck things are. To the uninitiated, the words visual vomit come to mind. Like I said, I was there too. From the offset, I was down with the style. From the cool ass tile screen, and this fun trip through this awesome looking manual to learn the controls of the game. I said to myself, man, this is so cool. Then I actually started playing the game. I wouldn't necessarily chalk it up to me being bad. It just takes time for your eyes to adjust to all this visual noise. For me, it happened about 45 minutes in, where it clicked. I get it now. But that's pretty negative right off the bat, and I haven't explained anything yet. That combination of things at the start was not just a lol epic funny joke for the sake of the cold open. Every one of those aspects are very applicable here. For the ultra kill part, I'm not going to say it's just ultra kill, because that would obviously be extremely regressive and undermine the unique things it does, which there are plenty of. Honestly, I just used ultra kill as a stand-in because that's the most recent game I could compare it to. Maybe I should play more first-person shooters. You have to fight through 10 randomized floors before a boss, and if you die on any floor before, it's all the way back to the start of the 10 floors with you. That may seem punishing, and sometimes it is, especially as you get closer to the end of the game, but most of the time it really isn't, as most of these floors take about a minute to get through a piece. So each group of floors, or chapters as the game splits them up as, takes around 10 minutes to complete. As you die and die again, you get more and more accustomed to the sorts of enemies and hazards the game will throw at you in each chapter. The game's good about introducing new things every chapter, so it doesn't feel stale or repetitive. Although, after a while, you can definitely see the patterns in how the game constructs its floors. So, you can pretty much guess what to expect every single time that you blast through a door, pretty consistently. To the point where if you keep dying over and over again, it can get pretty boring seeing the same things over and over again. that you wish you can just skip to the next chapter to see the new hazards and enemies. About those enemies, you have your basic pistol grunts, shotgunners, dudes with riot shields, ninjas, and a multitude of different robots, all requiring different strategies to defeat. Despite all this, I wish the rooms could have been a bit more random in their construction to help avoid this repetition issue. But hear me going on about rooms when I haven't even given the main gameplay element yet, and it's where the speed running aspect shows itself. The fact that you only have 10 seconds to live. I'm starting to think this game might have a hard-on for the number 10. All thanks to that dopamine addiction I mentioned earlier. People's brains just can't handle not having any stimulation, to the point where 10 seconds go by and you're dead. Kaput, it's just real life. Even if there are a lot of times where that doesn't apply, didn't I just say that the floors take about a minute apiece? That seems like more than 10 seconds. Well, yes. Every time you get a kill, you get more precious seconds to extend your sad life, with normal kills getting an extra second, and stylish kills rewarding you even more. But what classifies as a stylish kill though? Well, blowing up fire hydrants, don't ask how they explode, kicking enemies in the fans and electric walls, picking up items that give you an instant kill. The items are very useful when you're about to lose and need a quick top off, and last but certainly not least, headshots, which is a strategy that I subscribe to the most. Subscribe. Whoa. It's important that you get as many stylish kills as possible to keep your timer up, because if you try to blaze through enemies not trying for them, you won't be able to make up the difference, leading to plenty of deaths, not to mention that taking any damage causes you to lose seconds. So going as fast as possible and getting in harm's way is often not a path to success. It's a double-edged sword, if you will. It may seem like 10 seconds is a short amount of time, but if you play carefully and get those style points when you can, the seconds shouldn't matter. That was the clicking moment that I talked about like 2 minutes ago, and I feel kinda dumb falling into that trap because the game straight warns you about playing that way. So take that advice to heart. Anyway, where was I? Yes. At the end of every 10 floors you will face a boss fight, and if you die here, it's still all the way back, so don't fuck it up. Although that would be pretty difficult because most of these bosses are cakewalks. Some aren't even real bosses, but are more set pieces. The bosses that are actually real fights are by far the weakest in terms of gameplay. Slow attacks that are easy to avoid, pools of hazards that can be completely negated if you have the correct upgrade, which I always had. The only fights that are really worth talking about is this wall of ice that fires so many bullets that it's extremely hard to avoid anything. I was honestly caught off guard by how difficult this fight was compared to the previous ones. Then there's the final boss that has multiple phases and has you ducking behind walls to block missiles while dashing in to get shots off. It's climactic and well worth being the final boss. The biggest issue with them, other than the difficulty, is that it ditches the unique gameplay aspect of the 10-second time limit. Here we're back to a normal health bar for them, and it just feels like any other boomer shooter boss fight. It's disappointing. I feel like there could have been a way to keep the 10-second time limit here as well, but I'm not a game designer, so what do I know? There's also the roguelike elements at play, where between each floor you are given the choice between 3 different upgrades you can take, and there are a healthy number of them to go around. To increase movement speed, nullifying certain floor hazards like lava or acid, which is so useful that you should always take it if you can, to even something as innocuous as giving Jack more one-liners to say, which I personally always took. There's also different weapons, from your starting pistol, a submachine gun, and a shotgun, as well as others. I mostly stuck with the pistol, as it was the most accurate and the easiest to get headshots with. And if you die, it's back to square one with these upgrades as well. They do well in spicing up each run, and what I just listed off is nowhere near all of them. They provide the player with different ways to expand the gameplay, but it doesn't by any means ruin the challenge. You should definitely see them as bonuses. It's mostly going to come down to how well you can shoot that determines how well you do. As you complete chapters, you get access to permanent upgrades, like being able to reroll the shop or increase the level of guns, giving them different perks, like increased accuracy or infinite ammo. They serve as good rewards to show your progression throughout the game. Once you complete it, you unlock the endless mode, where you can continue your capitalistic downfall, as well as getting new colors of shoes from completing different difficulties. From changing the game back to a straight boomer shooter with none of the time limit stuff, or even permadeath, where you have to make it through all 81 floors in one life. That sounds like hell. I played through the first half of the game on challenging and the other half on normal, to experience what it'd be like for normal players. It's not because it was too hard, definitely not. I'd suggest starting on normal mode, even if the game labels challenging as the intended difficulty. I spent the most time in the first chapter, None of the following chapters took nearly as long as the first one because I was trying to get my bearing with the uber surreal visuals, so don't feel too bad if you go into challenging mode and end up getting your ass handed to you. And that's really about it. The game's interesting mixture lets it stand out as a true FPS marvel. I'd recommend it to anyone who's into shooters. If you have a PC, it's on Steam for $20, a price I think it wholeheartedly deserves. Alright, it's time for me to go pursue my true passion of becoming a chef now that this video is over. Thank you for watching, and make sure to
like, comment, and subscribe.
Don't get annoyed at me, he's the one that said it.